You're watching a special coverage of the flood crisis on 7 News, and now it's back to Kay Mcgrath at Kangaroo Point.
Thank you, Rod. Well, a defining image of the 74 floods was Brisbane's famous Lang Park underwater. Now, the home of Queensland origin and countless sporting triumphs, it's again inundated. Paddy Welsh today inspected the damage.
Kay, to the tens, the hundreds of thousands of Queensland sports fans. The sight behind me is a very sad one indeed. This is the Cauldron, the place where 30 years ago Arthur Beetson lit the fuse on the Origin phenomenon, where Wally Lewis performed his magic tricks, where Darren Lockyer led Queensland to 5 straight Origin series. Look at it now. It's more a home for another great Queenslander, Grant Hackett, than it is to the football greats. It has been under before. It went under in 1974 and it took so long to recover. The veterans will tell you that the stench from the dressing rooms took years to disappear. Records, valuable records of rugby league from the long distant past were lost in that flood. Not so this time, because all the records managed to be saved yesterday. We'll still wait for this water to drop now and see what effect that it has had through the dressing rooms, on the playing surface, but it is fair to say that the drainage now is light years ahead of what was available in 1974. When the water finally does drop and the dressing rooms and the field can be assessed, that's when we'll know how long this great stadium, which only a month or two ago played host to U2 and Bon Jovi, 50,000 fans clambering here, how long it will take to restore it to its former glory. But Kay, at the moment, it is a very sad sight indeed for so many Queensland sports fans.
Oh, that's an understatement. Thank you, Paddy Welsh there at Suncorp. Well, pain from this flood disaster is stretching far beyond the swollen Brisbane River. Almost 100,000 residents are still without power. And with dozens of roads still cut, supermarkets across the city are now struggling to restock their shelves.
A lifeline to Queensland's flood zone. This truck convoy is transporting food up north.
Well, the effects of this will certainly be felt for a very long time, but already friends, neighbours, families and complete strangers are uniting to recover and to rebuild, Rod.
Thank you, Kay. We'll see you again a little later. But ahead in 7 News, the hero pilot who saved so many people but lost his own home. And the touching story of how these horses survived. Back with 7's flood coverage, and we've had lots of calls about the fate of horses we showed you last night, trapped up to their necks in floods at Bouval. Well, the good news is they were all saved, but some are badly injured.
These thoroughbreds are wounded, weak but alive.
Being up on the roof of my house like that was just amazing. I was worried that she was going to drown, and you guys came back with her on a boat, and it's just saved nearly every horse I've got.
Well, friends of a 39-year-old man missing after his car was washed away in violent floodwaters near Grantham have paid tribute to their mate. James Perry was last seen sitting on top of his four-wheel drive with his family on Monday when a wall of water smashed the Lockyer Valley. Wife Jenny and his 9-year-old son Ted were winched to safety. Friends are praying for the Toowoomba horse racing identity.
Very difficult, and of course everyone in the industry, our thoughts and prayers are with his family at the moment.
Colleagues say James has made significant contributions to Toowoomba's thoroughbred industry. A helicopter pilot involved in the rescue of people from their rooftops in the Lockyer Valley has told how he tried in vain to save more stranded residents. Today, onboard video was released showing his team in action.
This is how the crew of the EMQ rescue helicopters saw the wave of destruction which swept through the Lockyer Valley. Senior pilot Mark Kempton at the controls as his team searched and prayed to find life.
Amazing people and some amazing stories. After the break, more on the flood crisis and the recovery, and flooding in the rest of the state. Back now with our continuing flood coverage. 2 more bodies were discovered today in the Lockyer Valley, west of Brisbane. But we're being warned of more grim news to come as the military joined the search for victims of Monday's inland tsunami.
Forget sore eyes, this is a sight for an aching heart. Natalie Bloom feared she may never see her husband Norrie again.
There are fears that levee banks protecting the Queensland town of Goondiwindi could fail tonight, with the town expecting record flood levels. Residents are watching and waiting as a peak of 10.85 metres is expected tonight. The levees are 11 metres high. While in Bundaberg, locals have experienced a second inundation of floodwaters after the Burnett River reached its peak this afternoon. The Air Force flew basic food supplies into the sugar city today. Flooding in Gympie has cut roads leading to Bundaberg. In Rockhampton, floodwaters are continuing to recede slowly, hampering clean-up efforts in some parts of the city. Floodwaters are expected to fall over the weekend. Maryborough is also experiencing a delay in cleaning up after the Mary River peaked for a second time overnight. In Chinchilla and Dalby, clean-up efforts are well underway. Residents in Chinchilla have been advised to boil their water as a safety precaution after low levels of chlorine were detected in the water treatment plant. Well, let's turn to today's finance news now. The share market closed higher today, posting the strongest gains in 6 weeks. BHP climbed 85 cents. Rio Tinto gained $1.86. The ASX 200 was up 71 points. Commonwealth Bank gained 78 cents. The NAB put on 41. Locally, What If was up 13 cents. Bank of Queensland gained 29. And the Australian dollar is buying around 99.5 US cents. Our weather is next. And John, you're keeping a close watch on what could be a cyclone developing.
Oh yes, Rod, there's a developing low in the Coral Sea. All the details are coming up next. Good evening. As the Brisbane River reached its flood peak early today, we woke to a very still morning with magnificent blue skies, and while it was rather cloudy through the day, again the weather has been positive with just a very few showers around the place. That trend won't be changing. We've got more mostly fine days to come into the weekend. That is good. 25 degrees in Brisbane now. Humidity is 64% on the go. One in Western Australia, the other near Vanuatu. Both pose no threat to Queensland. What we are looking at is this area of low pressure developing up here off Queensland. It's starting to move away from the coast. Moderate chance of developing into a cyclone tomorrow, but if it does, the comforting factor is it's probably going to continue to move away. If that happens, again, that will pose little threat, but we will keep an eye on it for you. On to Moreton Bay, winds will stay from the southeast again, 15 to 20 knots, with the seas 1 to 1.5 metres, offshore getting up to 2.2. Now for Brisbane, this is continuing good news. A mostly fine day again with just a possible shower. Won't be too much in that at all. Moderate southeast to east winds. Those temperatures staying around 21 to 28 degrees. Exactly the same forecast for the rest of the southeast. Just the chance of a few showers for both the coasts. It'll get up to 28 degrees there. Mostly fine away from the coast, 29 for Ipswich and 28 degrees for Caboolture and Logan. Now looking further ahead, this is still okay. Mostly fine over the weekend. Just a possible shower, a few showers as well for Monday, and from there a couple of showers into Tuesday. And providing that potential cyclone behaves itself, there's no significant rain on the horizon, which is great.
That's what we want to hear. Thanks, John. And we'll be back with more on what's happening with the flood right after the break.
If it happens, it's on 7 News and Yahoo 7, whenever you want it. yahoo7.com.au/Queensland.
Welcome back to our continuing flood emergency coverage. Kay Mcgrath is at Kangaroo Point, and Kay, you have the latest.
Yes, Rod. Well, after peaking at 4.46 metres this morning, the Brisbane River is falling steadily. And a short time ago, it dropped to 3.56 metres. 51 people have now been confirmed dead. 11,900 homes have been flooded in Brisbane. Water has affected another 14,700 homes. 4,000 Queenslanders are in evacuation centres. 61 people are still missing. Around 120,000 homes remain without power tonight. Of course, there's a major effort to get many of the city's substations back online. And the Bruce Highway will reopen on Friday. That's going to make travel from Brisbane to Cairns possible. And of course, Rod, residents are facing a massive clean-up task. The Premier expects it'll draw out for months. And emergency crews from interstate continue to arrive here to help in that rescue and recovery effort. And we've just heard that the Gundawindi has begun evacuations now from its hospital and nursing home. So as you can see, Rod, this crisis is definitely far from over in Queensland.
Certainly not. Thanks, Kay. Today Tonight is next, then our flood coverage continues.